My creative process has changed from my first release, which was Lo-Fi Fingers, also on Mellow Music, is that those early works, I used a specific piece of equipment, production equipment, which was the illustrious EMU SP1200. And I set out using that equipment. I was on a mission. I chose to use that particular piece of dinosaur technology for a reason. I wanted to use something of old, but make music that could compete with today's times. And I humbly believe that I achieved that goal. I did Whole Foods, nothing but the SP1200. I'm sorry, not Whole Foods, Lo-Fi, my first album, nothing but the SP1200, and all of the records thereafter. When it came time for me to create Whole Foods, I had decided to use a newer piece of equipment, only because I'm a multifaceted producer. I don't have just one sound. But in order to create and go into those other chambers, I needed a machine that would enable me to go into those other chambers. And I had certain records and certain breaks and loops that I wanted to touch, but I needed a piece of equipment that would really do it justice. And so I transitioned from the SP to the Akai MPC 3000, which is still relatively a classic piece of gear. But the difference is it's kind of the best of both worlds. It's old enough to where it still maintains the analog warmth sound, which is the basic fundamentals of my brand. But it was modern enough to where sonically it would be digestible to like the average person. And so it kind of gave me that equality, kind of gave me that balance. And so that's what I used when I started on Whole Foods. And man, like, I'm excited because using a new piece of equipment is like getting a whole new record collection, because now I can listen to my records differently. When I was using the SP, I would have to listen to the records, really scrutinize and really focus on what parts I would take because of the limitations of the machine. But now with no limitation, I can add, subtract. I can just go in a different chamber without worrying about limitations. So the transition was good because now I can let my followers and the people that support and rock with me, give them another side of what I'm able to do. Well, Marvel, Star Wars, things like that, it influences me creatively only from the perspective of they're a part of my life at some point. When I create from energy and emotion. And so what's going on in my life at the time, the scent that's in the air, obviously records, which are my source material. Those are the kind of things that inspire me. It's not one particular character with Marvel, although I think Marvel is like super dope. A lot of the vintage stuff that they had is super dope, and I collect some of that stuff too. And the same with Star Wars. I'm not like super deep into the books and all of that stuff. I have friends that are, but for me, it's the knowledge, it's the understanding behind those movies that inspire me. But I don't like flip through a comic book and then turn on the MPC. Like, it's not like that. But I am I am into comics. I'm a Spider-Man, Todd McFarlane guy, and I'm into the Hulk. I don't particularly use Marvel or DC or any kind of comic or any kind of publication to kickstart me creating, or go watch Star Wars trilogy and then go in the studio to make beats. It doesn't happen that way. Those are just things that were part of my childhood that were influential, and I still like them. And so and it's dope. I think it's dope. So, and I still collect some of that stuff. So I use the concept of the Jedi to make it synonymous with being organically an organic creator. And one of the things about the Jedi is they're taught to never have attachment. You're taught to love unconditionally. You're taught to be a human, you know what I'm saying? Even to protect and be responsible for the human families of the planet Earth, but no attachment. Because if you have an attachment, that's the incubator for fear. You're gonna give birth to fear, fear of the loss of that in which you are attached to. Even with the situation where my brother Large Professor and I got robbed in Houston and we lost our laptops and hard drives and all of this music and all this personal photos and stuff, I had to come into that understanding of attachment. You know what I mean? You can't receive new blessings when you're holding on to the old. And so, renewing my history, I had to let it go. And so that's one aspect that I refer to with the Jedi, is they're taught to not deal in no attachments. Attachment leads to fear. Fear of losing that attachment, and fear leads to the dark side. Word up. There's no balance in that.
When people say, you know, who are your top three, I never hear people say Large Professor, but they don't realize how much he's influenced the game, you know, and it's, you know, it's kind of his personality too, because he's just a humble, chill cat, but he definitely should get more love than he gets. I'll throw in Ali Shaheed Muhammad from Tribe Called Quest. I mean, he's done so much dope stuff within Tribe, outside the Tribe, that people don't know.
You know, the music is so much broader than any one aspect. You know, whether it's either of those, looking at, say, a piano or a drum machine or jazz or hip hop or house music, because, I mean, I don't really care. Like, some people have an issue when it's like, yeah, man, you're not house enough. You're not jazz enough. You're not this enough. It's like, come on. It's just music.
When we first came in the game, it was that era and time when DJs actually spent the music that they like. Now, they're spinning music for whatever reason. I really don't know firsthand because I'm not involved with that. But you know, I mean, it's gotta be some reason why there's not a lot of good music on the radio.
What I want UBB to be remembered as that we were most definitely instrumental for keeping hip hop. Because I think that the backbone that hip hop was losing in the drum machine era of hip hop, we were able to facilitate when the sampling craze came in.